Hello everyone, my name is Angry and I hope that every last one of you already saw second episode of Game of Thrones Season 7 because it was awesome. For the start I must say that the episode finally brought some fighting sequences and also that for the sake of understanding and for this video I will be talking about 5 main places and everything important that happened around them. So, place number 5, Riverrun, where Arya got a double reunion with characters that you probably already forgot exist. So, in the tavern, she meets Hot Pie, the dude who couldn't stop talking about making pies, so she actually learned a thing or two. He is basically the dude who made the Frey pie possible. So after he gets to know that she wants to go to south, he gets confused because she is from north, which belongs to her family once again. But she actually doesn't know that, so he explains the situation to her. You must remember that Arya's knowledge about the situation in Westeros is based on the show she saw in Bravos. You remember that circus, or whatever that was. So, to make it quicker, she says bye and now she is headed to north, where we got another reunion, this time with her direwolf called Nymeria. It's hard to say whether Nymeria is going to have at least some role to play in the upcoming Game of Thrones shenanigans or whether she is going to fight the White Walkers alongside the Ghost. Nonetheless, it was very kind of showrunners to create this scene because all the book readers were wondering what happened to Nymeria because in the books she has a lot bigger presence than she has in the TV show. But moving on, location number 4, King's Landing, where Cerseid and Jaimie are desperately looking for allies. This time they looked at the one true servant of the Iron Throne, Lord Tarly. I didn't even think that this is a possibility for them, but this show is full of surprises. So, as was said in the episode, Lords of House Tarly are a very proud family who have a really big sense of loyalty towards their kings. They even fought alongside Mad King against Robert Baratheon, mainly because they are a Barman of Tyrells who are also supporting the Mad King. So, there wasn't the same problem as now, because Tyrells are in a rebellion against the Queen. So the Lord Tarly has to choose, and I would bet that he is going to choose Lannisters over Tyrells, mainly because it would serve the plot of the show well. We know that King's Landing is getting short on food and livestock, and without these things the people will riot or simply die. One way or another the capital city would fall on its own, and with it the rule of Cersei. But with help of Tyrells, who are actually really strong in manpower and supplies, the problem could be solved. So this is probably the only way for Lannisters to have a chance against coming storm. And I shouldn't forget to mention that Lord Tyrell is amazingly great strategist, so it would be almost too easy for Mother of Dragons to conquer forces of Lannisters with him and his forces on her side. Other major thing to speak about is the weapon that is supposed to kill the dragons. We saw that the weapon is working as it should, but it has the one main weakness, its user. I would bet that Cersei won't be on the highest tower of King's Landing standing at the end of the bow to fire an arrow straight to Drogon's heart. There has to be someone competent that will do it instead. It might be Jaime or the Maester himself, but I would say that the percentage of success of this weapon on its own is below 5%. So there has to be more than just one. Probably if it comes to it, I mean the Siege of King's Landing, with dragons, there will be already at least dozen of these weapons, but that is all pure speculation. Okay, now to the Citadel, or as some would call it, the Citadel. Sorry guys, I couldn't resist. But now seriously, the previous episode showed us very clearly how hard it was to be an apprentice during medieval age. But the main thing we can see in this episode is that Samwell is starting to have things under control. He knows where to look for stuff, he's reading books which could be useful without further guidance of the Archmaester, and he's sneaking around like a ghost. He's clever, I will give him that, but performing a medical treatment that should be done by skillful maester, well, that's another thing. Talking of course about Jorah's surgery. But we have to bear in mind that this is Game of Thrones and the main characters die either in combat or in some sort of slaughter. So I would say that Jorah is pretty safe for now at least. Which leads me to the fact that he's going to join Daenerys very soon and probably somewhere after Jon meets with her. Talking about Jon Snow, location number 2, the North. where we can see preparations for the long night as well as Jon finally getting ravens both from Citadel and Dragonstone. I don't think that I have to explore those messages furthermore. The more important thing is that Jon is now headed to south to meet Daenerys. I haven't dreamed of this moment and we are so close to getting it, probably in the next episode. But let's stay in the topic. The fact that Jon was decided to go south didn't really get much of a support from other lords of the north, neither Sansa, and even the little bear was against it. But of course Jon made his intentions clear and he gave a great speech about his allegiance to the north, so they accepted his choice. Mainly because now the Winterfell and north are in Sansa's hands. All hail the Queen. Besides this, we can see Jon in the tombs of Winterfell in front of Ned's grave. It's hard to say what he was thinking about, probably something around the promise Ned gave to him to speak about Jon's mother, but who knows. The thing we know is that Jon understands the Littlefinger same as Sansa does and wasn't afraid to show it, even though he cannot really kill him because then he would lose the support of the Whale, which probably has a bigger army than the North, as it is after Battle of the Bastards. And finally, location number 1, the Dragonstone itself. This place is the main interest of this episode, so let's start at the beginning when Daenerys questions the loyalty of Varys. In my opinion, she just wanted that speech that he gave her at the end, and also the whole conversation was there to show us that Daenerys can also play the game of words. Right after that, we can see arrival of the Red Priestess who explains that she wants to serve to the breaker of the chains. Even though everyone doubts her, she speaks about the prince who was promised, and after that the word was spoken about the king in the north, and the discovery that Jon Snow could be a viable ally made Dany very happy, and she ordered Tyrion to send a letter to Winterfell, and the rest was already said. And we shouldn't forget that the Red Priestess was welcomed and now she's being Daenerys. Afterwards, we have the pleasure to see War Council where all sides wants to do something else, but they actually agree on a plan that was presented by Tyrion and Daenerys. So to summarize the situation, at this point the Dornish army will be brought by Iron Fleet to King's Landing to siege it, and it will be supported by Tyrell's army. During this time, Unsullied and Dothraki will conquer Casterly Rock. That's the plan that was created. I would say that it's a pretty good plan, but they didn't really consider what the enemy is going to do. They probably thought that Lannisters don't have allies nor manpower to contest them in any way. Before I get to the main course, I would like to mention that Grey Worm and Melisandre had their moment, which isn't really that big of a thing, but it shows us one of the many things for which we love this show so much. So, the Battle of Greyjoys. I was hoping that we will get it in second episode, and we actually did. The battle ended sooner than it started though, and the ending of the battle, Theon totally lost it. I would say that it was fine for him to cut losses and abandon the ship, and it is really hard to tell what was he thinking because he didn't really get much attention during the previous episodes and during the whole previous season, nor the redemption after what Ramsay did to him. He just went from speechless prick to a soldier, so I really do not know. But the more important thing here is that Theon's Iron Fleet was supposed to transport Dornish soldiers to King's Landing, which is now impossible because it's destroyed. But not only that, the Dornish and Ironborn leaders are now captured, which can lead into some tricky situations. And that's probably about it for this episode, guys. I hope you liked my review enough to subscribe to my channel because there is 5 more episodes coming, so be hyped, guys, and I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode, next video. See ya!